Okay, let's start the part 2 of today's class. In the part 2, we will be discussing the relational database, and in the part 3, we will be discussing uh, how to create the uh, automated data entry form in Excel and some other Excel formulas. So let's start the second part. So from the textbook and from the last class, we have seen that there is an impact cycle. Okay, so we have already discussed the first part in identifying the business questions and problems that can be addressed with the data. So first one is we need to have a question before starting the analysis of the data. Okay, so when we have identified the question, our second task is to work on the data, and meaning we need to master the data. Okay, so we need to master the data, and which requires that you identify and obtain the data needed to solve the problems. Okay, so the other thing is mastering data requires that you understand the data and what kind of data are available and where they are stored, so that you can easily extract, transform the data, and you can prepare the data for the analysis. Okay, so mastering the data process can be described by ETL. So ETL, uh, it has different steps. See, extracting, transforming, and loading. So you will need to extract the data. Meaning first you will extract the data, and the second you will transform the data, and the third one you will load the data after the transformation. Okay, when you will be loading the data, then you will do the analysis. Okay, so the mastering data process can be described. So by step one, determine, meaning the ETL process is made up. It should be is, okay, is made up of the 5 steps. The first step number one, so determine the purpose and scope of the data requested, meaning extract. The second one is obtain the data. And the third one, after obtaining the data, we need to validate the data for completeness and integrity. Okay, and the fourth one is we need to sanitize the data, meaning transform the data. And the fifth is uh, load the data in the preparation for data analysis. Okay, this is the 5 step. Uh, and now, how are data used and stored in the accounting cycle? So, a basic understanding of accounting processes and its associated data can help you request the right data and facilitate the request so that you can know exactly where each piece of data is held. Okay, so the first thing is you must know that where the data are stored and how the data are organized. So if you don't know how they are organized and how they are stored, you cannot order the data. Because before starting analysis of the data, you need to order the data from the information center. So while it is often preferred to analyze data from a flat file, for example, Excel spreadsheet, okay, so when it comes to storing data and maintaining data integrity, a relational database is preferred because of its ability to maintain one version of the truth, meaning one version for all. So let's see what does it mean. So understand the data by looking at how it is organized. The first thing is data can be found through various systems, okay, and then in most cases you need to know which tables and attributes contain the relevant data, and then you need to know the unified modeling language. That is one way to understand the databases. Okay, so that is the UML, unified modeling language. And let's see how it works. So there is one data. So you have, say, this is one table we have. So, and you have the product code and the product description. Okay, and then you have another database that has the sales budget. So sales order ID, the product code, and customer ID you have in this table. And the third table you have the customers, so the customer ID and the customer name. Okay, so you can see that how they are related. This product code, it has, meaning this table's primary key is the product code, and this table's primary key is the sales order. This table's primary key is the, this pk means primary key. Okay, customer ID. So now this product code, meaning the primary key, is associated with the secondary, meaning the foreign key of this second table. I'm calling this one the first, second, and third table. Okay, so and third table. So and the product key is the foreign key of this one, and customer ID is the foreign key, meaning customer ID. This customer ID is the foreign key, meaning because this key is for this. This key is the primary key of this table, third table. So they are connected in this way. You can see that the product key and a product code, then the customer ID. So they are connected in this way, and this is actually called the relational database. They are related. See that? And let's see the different types of attributes. There are 4 different types of attributes. We can see the primary keys are the unique identifiers of the table. Foreign keys are the attributes that point to a primary key in another table that we have seen, and the composite key are a combination of 2 foreign keys used for the one line items, and there are some descriptive attributes that include everything else. So you can see that they are highly related. So, and let's see the composite key. What does it mean? So a primary key that has 2 or more attributes. Okay, so you can see that order ID and product ID. By seeing only the order ID, we cannot say which product has been ordered. Okay, so to know the order, meaning the total order, about the order detail, we need to know the product ID as well. So these 2 ID combinedly create one key that is called composite key. Okay, so the relational databases ensure that data are complete or include all data. They are not redundant. They follow the business rules, and they aid communication. Okay, and there are 5 steps in requesting the data. So first one is determine the purpose and scope of the data request and obtain the data, then validate, clean the data, and finally load the data for analysis. Okay, so step 1, determine the purpose and scope of the data request. So when you will be requesting the data, so what is the purpose and why, what kind of data you want? So what is the purpose, and what do you need to solve, and what business problems it will address, and what risks exist in data integrity, in reliability and usefulness, and what is the mitigation plan, and what other informations will impact the nature, timing, and the extent of the data analysis. And step 2, how will data be requested and obtained? So obtain the data. And there are some other things, as you can see. If you need to request the data, is there a standard data request form that you should use, and from whom do you request the data? These are the things you need to understand. And there are a couple of options. Say obtain data through data request form from the IT department, or not obtain data by yourself. Okay, let's see an example of a standard data request form. This is the data request form. See, you can see that the requester name here. and the request or contact number, request or email address. Okay, and you can see that you can say, okay, please give me this data. Okay, and there are some other informations, request date, uh, data required, and intended audience for whom you will be analyzing the data. Okay, and if not requesters, then the customers. Okay, and example with standard. So this is another form to be completed by the information systems management and completion details. So this is the request number, received by, uh, say zone, date receipt, assigned to, meaning this is the person who will be working on the data that you have requested. So that is the assigned to, and obtain the data by yourself. If you have direct access to the data warehouse, okay, you can use say SQL and other tools to pull the data by yourself. So uh, you need to identify from which table you want to have data, and identify which attributes, and identify how those tables are related to each other. So meaning in this case you need to have an idea about the relational database. Okay, the third step, you need to validate the data for completeness and integrity. So chances are that the data you request is not complete. So you need to compare the number of records, compare descriptive statistics, validate date or time fields, and compare string limits for text fields. Okay. And number four, clean the data. How to clean it? So first one, remove the headings and subtotals. Clean leading zeros and non-printable characters, format the negative numbers, correct inconsistencies across the data in general. Okay, and finally load the data for data analysis. Okay, this is the second part. Okay, we are done with the second part.